Welcome to the Strive Consultancy podcast, where we'll dive into the realities of life, business, and success in some of the world's most dynamic cities. Today, we're joined by Pali, the CEO of Strive, to explore what it truly takes to set up and thrive in Dubai. We'll be discussing the opportunities and challenges of building a life and business in the city, addressing common misconceptions, and comparing Pali's first-hand experiences in setting up in Dubai versus London. Whether you're considering a move, expanding your business, or just curious about the Dubai lifestyle, this conversation will provide valuable insights. Stay tuned.
Yeah, I hope so. Yeah, I hope it helps many people. Thanks, Nicole. Thanks for the introduction. So, you've just obviously come on board very recently with us. So welcome to Strive family as well. And I think it'd be good. I thought we both decided that it'd be good to just have a general discussion regarding, certain things about Dubai, which maybe seem quite simple on the outside, but I think a lot of people aren't aware of how certain things operate and work there. So I'm glad we're getting a chance to just talk a bit more generally about Dubai and the UAE, and maybe not going so deep into the business side of things today as well.
Yes.
So looking forward to sharing our insights. Obviously, I've been there for around 8 or so years now, and Strive is primarily like a business setup, sort of company formation consultancy service. And we help many clients across the UK and Europe, as well as clients from Australia, Canada. And, that goes to show how much global interest there is in the place now as well. So, looking forward to getting stuck into some of these questions that people generally tend to ask us, and hopefully can help people considering possibly a move to Dubai or doing something there in the future. So,
Perfect. So for the first set of questions, I'd love to ask about schools and education. For a lot of people, they're moving with their families. So how would you describe Dubai's education scene for someone, wanting to move their children over to?
Yeah, no, I think that's a great topic to kick off on. And we're seeing a lot of families considering a move to Dubai for different reasons. But schooling in Dubai is generally quite flexible. Firstly, it's important to note that it's all private. So you do have to pay for schooling in Dubai if you're moving there. And so it's important to bear that in mind when budgeting potentially a move to Dubai as well. And there's a range of sort of costs associated with what the schools charge depending on location, I suppose their previous results as well and how well they've performed. But the schools that generally operate to international curriculums. So, for example, you have got UK curriculum schools. At the same time, you've got Ivy schools there as well. And when you do put your children through school in Dubai, you could sort of align it with an educational system, maybe from where they've come from already, and things like that. So, but overall, when we went to have a look at schools the first time, we were quite taken aback at the scale and the facilities. So they are very well facilitated, and the campuses for the schools are very well equipped as well. So in terms of the quality of the facilities, I mean, I would say it's sort of second to none, to be honest. Yeah.
And how do Dubai's international private schools prepare students for a global career?
Well, I think one thing about Dubai is, most people that have been there will probably have got the sense that there's a lot of international people there already. So I think just by the fact of going to a school in Dubai, children are going to grow up rubbing shoulders with people from lots of different nationalities and backgrounds. And I think that helps with the general, worldliness and of the upbringing of the kids. And, in terms of Dubai, in terms of latter education, I think Dubai is making strides to really catch up on that side of things. But you do tend to find that children and people that go to school in Dubai, once they get to the point of university, they'll normally go abroad to go for their university education as well. So I think that's an area that Dubai is really trying to improve on, and you have got like larger institutions based there now, such as like NYU's got a presence there. A few of the UK sort of universities have got presence there as well, and but I think that whole idea of going abroad for your latter education also helps you for the whole international profile and being preparing young people for an international sort of career as well, I guess.
Definitely. And how would you describe the transition from UK school to a Dubai school?
Yeah, it can be a bit different. So first of all, Dubai's got great weather, so and obviously it's a lot hotter than the UK, for example. So first of all, school will start earlier by at least an hour or so. So school, it's not unheard of for school day to start at 7:30 a.m. for children as well. So that's number one. That was a bit of an adjustment for us, I'll be honest. School is half day on Fridays.
Oh, amazing.
As well. So good for the kids. Sometimes for parents it's awkward if you're both working or you're busy, with your week and you're wrapping up your week. So school does finish half day on Fridays. During Ramadan, which is approximately about a month or so during fasting, schools finish half day every day.
Wow.
And normally you find the school a year ending a bit earlier. That's normally because of the heat and it gets a bit hot for kids as well. And so you'll find that school term ends a bit earlier in July for children. And that's partly why school starts early as well, because it's a bit cooler in the mornings as well, especially for young children. It's a bit more bearable, a bit easier. So, you do get hot months kicking in from around, I would say, May till around end of October. And so, schools try their best to manage, the children accordingly to the weather as well. So it's almost the opposite problem to what you'd have over here in the UK, where it's more to do with managing the warm weather rather than the other way around as well. But these are more, I suppose, the day-to-day differences that you're going to find. Academically, though, like I mentioned earlier, it's very much in line with a UK sort of schooling system. You even find Ofsted going out there and reviewing schools as well, time to time, which is the governing body over here in the UK as well. So, from the schooling perspective, in terms of educationally, you'll normally find a lot of alignment with the UK itself. Yeah.
Perfect. And in terms of education, finally, what would you say is the biggest misconception about education in Dubai?
Oh, that's a tough one to answer. I think as a parent, it also depends on what you want out of the system. Some parents want their kids to be more academically strong, and some parents are looking more for a holistic, well-being, value-driven, and then there's a combination of the two. But in terms of it's very much down to getting out there, visiting schools, getting a real feel for things, and then placing your child in a school system which you feel fits what you're looking to achieve with the children as well. So I don't think there's an easy way to really answer that question. I don't think there's a single answer for that particular question, to be honest with you. So I think it really depends on what you want as an outcome. But the variety is out there, which is the important thing as well for parents to bear in mind. Yeah.
Perfect. And now we'll move on to health and well-being and the quality of healthcare in Dubai. So from your experience, how would you describe the healthcare scene in Dubai?
Yeah, having grown up in the UK and London specifically, we all hear about how the NHS is struggling, and it's become very difficult to get things like appointments with your GP, your doctor, and the waiting lists in hospitals can be quite long for certain treatments. Dubai, when I say it's the complete opposite, it genuinely is the complete opposite. However, healthcare there, again, is private. You do have to pay for it. But the way I sort of justify it is that we're all paying for healthcare here through, obviously, the tax system already. Putting a contribution towards the health system. So essentially, you're sort of, having to pay, but as Dubai is tax-free as well. So what you pay for there, I just feel you get a lot more, a much higher level of service for every dollar you pay towards a private healthcare system. So to give you some very quick examples, to get a GP appointment, you can normally get one same day quite easily. You could book it through the phone, or you could book it through an app, and you can see a very specifically specialist. You could meet. Sorry, losing my words here. You can actually get an appointment with a specific specialist as well, and not just a general practitioner, quite quickly as well. In terms of the hospital system, hospitals, you walk into some of the hospitals, they look like hotel lobbies. And, this is typical Dubai for you, isn't it? And so you do get very good service. The level of care and responsiveness is high. And look, when you move there, you do have to take out a health insurance policy. So there's two options.
Okay.
So if you have a private healthcare policy already, let's say you're moving from Canada or moving from Germany or the UK, Australia, then normally your healthcare provider can add on an international cover, which will then cover you for anything that you need done in Dubai or the UAE as well. Those policies tend to be operate in such a way whereby you normally pay for your medical care and then claim back the money from the insurance company. But when you take a policy out with a local Dubai healthcare company, then they're linked with all the systems, with the hospitals and the clinics. So they can the administrator will punch in the treatments you need, and it will give you an answer straight away whether that's been approved or not by the healthcare company, and then you could proceed to get your treatment done. So you don't have to do that pay first and claim later side of things. And so I do always recommend to people to keep your other policy if you want, especially for the first year or so while you're settling in and into a new country. But then just take out also a small local policy as well, because you'll just find it really convenient. It'll be a lot easier to just get things approved, get any medication approved, live, just on the system as well. And no one likes fighting for money from the insurance company anyway. So it's good to just get a local policy. And similarly to other countries, there's sort of online you could go and get quotes quite easily from these price comparison engines. So there are platforms online. I won't mention any because I don't want to be biased to any particular one. But if you just Google UAE healthcare policies, you'll see a whole list of comparison engines where you can initially start getting some baseline quotes for yourself or your family, and things like this. But you generally find the value for money quite good. Just to give you an idea, my policy cost me around, and I would say it's a mid-range to high-end policy. Probably costs around £1,000 a year, something like that. So just to give people out there a bit of a ballpark on what they're sort of budgeting for as well. Yeah.
Perfect. And how did you find navigating that, choosing your healthcare insurance when you were moving?
Yeah, I mean, my first instinct was go for a company that's got an international brand. Just because, I think when you move to a new country, you just feel a bit more comfortable if you know the brand you're working with. But I would say in the last sort of 5-6 years, I've just gone for a couple of local companies. And as I got to learn more about Dubai, and I got more comfortable using the local health insurance companies, and I would say they've been great. It's actually been really, really good. The few times that I've had to lean on it, or anyone in my family's had to lean on it, it's been pretty straightforward as well. So I mean, I can understand the need to go with familiar to begin with. But I think there are some very well established. So if you go for one of the larger players in the UAE, you'll be absolutely fine. Yeah, you got nothing to worry about there. Yeah.
Perfect. And would you say there's a difference between the way people take care of their health or the approach to health between the Dubai and UK, for example?
Oh, that could be a bit controversial. Look, I mean, it's one of these things where, I'm going to just touch on weather again, But when you have good weather, you're outdoors a lot more. So you do see a lot more people partaking in outdoor activities, whether it's simply running and jogging clubs, or whether it's being on the water and doing some, I don't know, windsurfing or paddleboarding, whatever it might be. I did find myself doing a lot more stuff outdoors. I used to play tennis 3 times a week, and things like this. And obviously, it's a little bit trickier, when the climate isn't conducive to that. There's been a big increase in new gyms opening up there. You've got a lot of interest in well-being stuff. Things like yoga, Pilates studios. Everywhere you go, you see these locations and facilities around. The general approach, I think, to healthcare and fitness and lifestyle is very much driven by, I think, the fact that the weather there is so conducive to that lifestyle already. So I think that makes a big difference. I also think that people, spend more time on the beach and poolside, so they generally want to look a lot better. And I think there's a little bit of a vanity exercise going on there as well. So I think, people do take maybe that little bit more care over there, over themselves. But I think the general trend globally is that people are starting to get more aware of taking care of themselves anyway, right? So that's not to say that there's a huge problem anywhere else in the world, in my opinion. But if you really enjoy being out there, and getting your fitness up, then Dubai is a good place to live, because you have got a lot of facilities to support your sort of lifestyle. Your sporty lifestyle, if you want it.
Perfect. And now moving on to another topic that families might be concerned with, for example, safety and security. And this being a transition as well, moving to a country, how would you describe the overall safety and security for moving a family out to Dubai?
I mean, the UAE, I think, is ranked as, in the top 5 or maybe at least top 10 safest countries in the world. We do see this come up a lot with our conversations with clients, with families. We've seen, in Europe and especially in the UK, we have seen an increase in sort of certain types of crime. You see all the stuff go viral with, watch thefts and petty crime and mobile phones being snatched and things like this. You'll never come across that in Dubai. You'll never come across that. And just to give you some context, I don't think I really... After the first sort of few months, I stopped locking my apartment door.
Wow.
Yeah, I didn't even need to lock it anymore. So it just gives you a bit of an idea.
Imagine that in London.
So it is very safe. It's nice. This is where it is very, very good for families. I've seen families playing in the park way past midnight in Dubai and stuff like that. So, you wouldn't really do that in the UK. And so it is a very safe environment. I think I wouldn't be complacent, but generally speaking, I mean, it's the least of your worries. I'll be honest. It doesn't really cross your mind about being out late, being by yourself somewhere. If you lose something and you left something behind in a hotel or whatever, you generally can get it back as well. So, it's one of the when I'm there. It was one of the. It didn't even bother me. I had no concerns. It wasn't even a thought that crossed my mind, which is a real benefit if you think about it. Compared to other places in the world. Yeah.
And what advice would you give to someone moving to Dubai, wanting to stay up to date with the laws and regulations, and how different is it from other countries they might be moving from? How important would you say that is?
Yeah, I mean, this can be a bit tricky. This can be a little bit tricky because you don't really get sort of public announcements as often on certain changes. It's best to sort of subscribe to all sort of the news websites. So you've got several news platforms in Dubai, and the government there will generally push releases through them about any changes to rules or systems and things like this. So, for example, a few years ago, the weekend used to be a Friday and a Saturday.
Oh, wow.
and it got changed to a Saturday and a Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
And so that information was released through like the news outlets online and through the newspapers. So, that's where you normally would pick up on the most recent up-to-date changes in rules and regulations about Dubai and any law changes. And some of these law changes can be quite big and profound. Some of them can be just very small day-to-day sort of things as well. So, for example, previously, I'm talking several years ago now, Dubai had a rule where man and woman couldn't live together unless they were married. But then that's gone now, and that was changed as well. So again, that information came out through the news outlets as well. You see, so I would say if anyone wants to keep up to date with things, just go and put your email address into you're receiving the newsletters from all of these sort of websites, and that's probably the easiest way to stay up to date on things.
Okay, perfect. And for a family considering a move, what safety factors do make Dubai an appealing option?
I mean, it sounds a bit too simplistic, but it's just safe. I mean, you're first of all, things like car theft, burglary are sort of non-existent. So in terms of home security and things like this, you can have a lot more peace of mind than sometimes that you can have in the UK. Then in terms of being out with the family, kids being out on their own, maybe obviously it's more teenage kids. You're generally fine. You're not going to find them getting into any scuffles, any issues, or be any confrontations occurring either. As well. So all in all, I think you can sort of approach Dubai knowing that box is quite firmly ticked from day one by default. Yeah.
Okay, perfect. So what advice would you give to a prospective family looking to move to Dubai in terms of the topics we've covered today? So education, healthcare, and safety and security.
Yeah, I think, like I said, safety and security, you're going to find that by default is ticked off as, as being perfectly fine. Healthcare, do your research in advance. You can get quotes from the private healthcare companies. I mean, if you've got pre-existing conditions, if you're a smoker, for example, as well, quotes for private healthcare can vary. And so it's best that you do that research in advance as well. So you could do that, sitting in your home country for now. You don't need to go to Dubai to do that. So just start getting some quotes together, and at least you've got an idea of the budget you need to set aside for that type of thing as well. When it comes to the schooling side of things, again, you can create a short list. There's websites out there where you can where they sort of graded the schools in terms of academic performance. So you can sign up and look at those portals. I think it's run by the KHDA, which is the government body over there for education and training. So if you go to their website, you can probably find a list of their latest report on certain schools as well. So I would definitely look into that. Schools are one of these things where you really do have to get your feet on the ground. So plan a visit to go in and check out the schools, make some appointments. Obviously, the easiest time to get kids into school is the start of the school year.
Yes.
But, because Dubai is such a transient community with people sort of coming and going, you do find quite a lot of rotation in school spaces. So if you've got a school that you really are interested in getting your children into, just get on the waiting list early, and there's probably a decent chance that an opportunity will come up for a placement in the future as well. But yeah, I mean, in terms of, again, based on the type of school and the type of education you want them to have, it's best to visit and talk to the teachers at these institutions. Yeah.
Perfect. Thank you very much.
No worries. Hope that was useful.
That was very useful. Thank you.
Thanks.